Once upon a time, in a meadow full of buttercups and dandelions, lived a little rabbit. The rabbit was very pretty. Her fur was the color of dandelion fluff, and her eyes shone like shiny black beads. But the rabbit was very, very vain. She spent all day primping and preening, and all night she would gaze at her reflection in the stream, sighing and saying, "Oh, how beautiful I am, how beautiful I am." One night the rabbit was brushing her fur with a twig, when a wise old owl hooted. "Why do you spend so much time brushing your fur? What will you do when you're old and gray like me?" The rabbit stopped brushing and stared at the owl. "I'll never be as ugly and fat and gray as you, old owl," she said. The owl just hooted softly and closed one eye. "Well, then you have my permission to stay up tonight and collect the night glow so that you can be the first to see the sunrise." The rabbit thought this was a splendid idea. So after saying goodbye to her family, she set off to collect the night's glow. She hopped through the dark, past sleeping field mice and crickets, over the babbling silver stream, and up the tall oak tree. At the top of the tree, she found a little hollow where a fat, juicy worm had been sleeping. The rabbit woke the worm. "Please give me some of your fat so that I can be the first to see the sun rise," she said. The worm grumbled and said, "What will I do without any fat? I need to be fat to make my cocoon." But the rabbit just took some of the worm's fat anyway, and then she left to find some dewdrops. She hopped over the dewy grass and filled her paws with sparkling water. Then she went to an empty bird's nest and made a little bed out of the dewdrops. Finally, she curled up in the nest and closed her eyes. But the more she tried to sleep, the more she thought about how beautiful she was going to look when she collected the night's glow. And so the rabbit sat up and started to sing. "Oh, how beautiful I am, how beautiful I am. The first to see the sunrise. I will be the first to see the sunrise," she sang. A little firefly landed on her nose. "Why are you singing so sadly?" he asked. "I want to be the first to see the sunrise, but I can't seem to sleep," the rabbit replied. "Well then, let me take you on my back and I'll fly you to the top of the highest mountain, where you can see the sun rise over the hills," the firefly said. The rabbit thought this was a wonderful idea, so she got on the back of the firefly, and they flew to the highest mountain. In the cold, clear air, the rabbit easily fell asleep. When she woke up, she could see the sun rising over the hills, and it was beautiful. The sky was the color of ripe raspberries, and the tops of the clouds were like spun sugar. But as the sun climbed higher and higher, the colors faded until the sky was just blue and the clouds were just clouds. And the rabbit couldn't help but notice that the firefly was as bright as he had been the night before. In fact, he looked kind of dull. "You promised I would be the first to see the sunrise," the rabbit said in a huff. "But you fell asleep before we got to the top of the mountain," the firefly replied. "Besides, who cares who sees the sunrise first? It's not like it's a competition or anything." The rabbit thought for a moment. He was right. It wasn't about being the first to see the sunrise. It was about appreciating the beauty of the sunrise. And the more she thought about it, the more she realized that she had spent way too much time worrying about her looks. So from that day on, instead of spending her nights worrying about how beautiful she was, the rabbit spent her nights looking for adventures. And though she never forgot how beautiful she was, she never forgot that there was more to life than being pretty.